This is our demonstration gate on a main haul route for Forestry Road. So we've installed our system. We had to retrofit this gate, and so the system consists of a slide bolt and the main mechanism which locks it. So the bolt itself is a 3x3 steel bolt. We've got the key tunnel here. It'll operate from a mechanical key, from an access card, or from the phone app itself, which is on my phone, so I can't show it right now. So basically the operation of the gate is you just shove that in a little bit, make sure there's no load on the mechanism. Take the card to the back, it gets a little beep, and then it just unlocks. As simple as that. It's very easy to use. And then to relock, it just goes the other way. So there's a number of design features about it that aren't immediately obvious. One of them being the tamper resistance of the unit. This handle has strain relief built into it, so if you put a jack in between here and try to force the gate open, it just folds the handle over and doesn't damage the unit. And the mechanism is encased in 1-inch AR500 steel, so you can't shoot holes in it, which is a major problem on remote sites, particularly forestry roads. Take a lot of gunshot damage, and that grade and thickness of material is known. It's the similar stuff that you'd find on the cutting edge of a grater blade, so it's very hard and you can't shoot through it. The entire mechanism itself is accessible in the event of a complete mechanical failure. There's a mechanical way to get into this that operates very similar to a lock nut on a wheel, so you could actually have a tow truck or security, anybody that has that coated lock nut removal tool, open the box up and release the gate. The system itself supports it's an enterprise class access control, so it has an audit trail. It'll tell you who used the card. If a mechanical key is used, of course it can't tell you who's using the key, but it'll tell you when it was used. It supports calendars, so that you can have different groups with different access times. For example, a recreational user may be restricted to weekends between certain times of day, 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then their keys automatically stop working, whereas operational staff or security, their keys will work all the time. You can effectively have an unlimited number of groups. It's restricted only by the server resources. And the system itself has a total build out on one license of 4 million keys. So, and it supports 65,000 units, so you can have a very large number of gates, which is the system is designed to be a hosted system, supporting multiple users on access routes. Typically a road like this will have a number of different industrial users that are involved in it. There may be water utility, for example, watershed control, the private forestry operator. There may be crown land behind here, so you've got all of the different operations that are involved in those type of things, mineral extraction, free miners. There's a hydro transmission corridor back here. There's a fish hatchery, so there's a very large number of users, firewood contractors, any number of different groups that all require keys for this gate, and the mechanical keys become completely unmanageable, and you'd have no record of when they were in or any control really of when they're in. And typically what happens is the gate is left unlocked and essentially stands open, and then you get a lot of wandering non-industrial traffic, just recreational traffic or passers-by that see the road, the gate's open, typically won't even notice the sign in the bush, and they'll wander in and then subsequently get locked behind the gate, which creates a PR problem for the operator, but a security issue and also a safety issue for everybody. So the design of the system was written around an industry specification. It was recognized by the operator, by the forestry operators, that that keys and padlocks have been a long-standing problem. And with recent developments in smartphone technology and very low energy electronics, along with the cost reduction that comes from the maturing of that technology, this unit actually operates at a less expensive total cost of ownership than conventional padlock systems, if you factor in all of the operational time dealing with locked out padlocks, that if somebody's come along and put something in and they don't work, or they've been broken because somebody tried to break them off the gate. or lost the keys, and you have to change all the keys on a bunch of different remote sites, and all of those different users' keys have to be changed. If you add all that cost together, which is largely off the books, it's a significant amount more than what the total cost of ownership is on these units. They do run off a battery. There is no external power supply on this for vandalism reasons and others. We don't use solar, but the projected battery life depends on the gate use, but it would be typically set by the standing discharge rate of the battery rather than the consumption of the battery, and we're looking at between 1 and 3 year duty cycle between recharges on the battery, and it uses a conventional lead acid battery. So that the actual maintenance on the system is extremely low, assuming it doesn't get vandalized, and the level of vandalism on it is much lower than you'd run into with a padlock, because there's literally nothing to break on the system. There's nothing to really pound on that'll break. That if we're using mechanical keys, which isn't entirely necessary, the keyways themselves are still exposed, so you could put something in them. But there's nothing in the actual key tunnel here to pound on like a padlock is, or pull on, or anything else. So it's extremely vandal resistant. To the extent possible, and generally designed around all of the issues created by padlocks, and the gate design as well comes into it. This one is a pivot, cantilevered beam on a pivot, and it can be literally lifted off the pivots, which we'll call bollards for lack of a better term. The posts are set into the ground on each side of the road, and you can come along with your forestry equipment, a self-loader or whatever. If you're operating a cut block, for example, and you want to take your gate with you when you leave, you just simply lift the gate off the posts and take the gate with you and leave the posts standing where they are. So the entire investment can be moved around, and there's a similar type of design that can actually be mounted on concrete key blocks and used for emergency closures of roads and things like that, where you may have a requirement to close a road that doesn't otherwise have a gate for a temporary period, and just pick the whole gate up, blocks and everything, and remove it after the road closure is lifted. So that's the new unit. It's branded Access Pass. You can find information about it on industrialroads.online, and you can give us a call. It's manufactured by Barricade Security Controls. We'd be happy to answer any questions about it you may have.